The storm did not begin in disobedience. It began in obedience. Jesus himself said, "Let us go over to the other side." The disciples did not choose the journey. They followed a command. And somewhere in the middle of obedience, the storm rose. Waves slammed into the boat. Water filled the vessel. Seasoned fishermen, men who knew storms, began to panic. But while chaos erupted above deck, Jesus was asleep, not praying, not pacing, sleeping, on a cushion, in the stern, while the boat was filling with water. This detail is unsettling. How could Jesus sleep when his disciples were drowning? How could the Son of God rest while the wind screamed and death felt close? The disciples finally woke him and cried, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" That question reveals more than fear. It reveals accusation. Not, "Can you help us?" but, "Do you care?" Because storms have a way of making people question love. Jesus stood up, and before he addressed the storm, he addressed something else. The Bible says he rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Immediately, the wind stopped. The waves collapsed into silence. The sea obeyed. But then Jesus turned to the disciples and asked a question far more uncomfortable than the storm. "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" Notice this carefully. Jesus did not say, "Why did you wake me?" He said, "Why were you afraid?" Because the real issue was never the storm. It was what the storm revealed. So why was Jesus sleeping? First, because he was fully human. Jesus was exhausted. He had taught crowds, healed the sick, and poured himself out without pause. His sleep shows us something profound. God does not despise rest. But there is something deeper. Jesus was sleeping because he was not threatened. Storms panic people who believe they are alone. But Jesus knew who he was. And he knew where he was going. The storm did not surprise him. And it did not interrupt his mission. He slept because peace was already present. Even before the waves stopped. The storm did not wake Jesus. Fear did. The disciples didn't wake him with water. They woke him with doubt. And here is the lesson we often miss. The presence of a storm does not mean the absence of God. The silence of Jesus does not mean neglect. Sometimes God is quiet because he trusts the authority he already gave you. Jesus had already said, "Let us go to the other side." That was a promise. If Jesus is in the boat cannot sink. The storm was loud, but the word spoken before the storm was louder. Jesus calmed the sea, but he exposed their fear. Because faith is not proven by the absence of storms, but by trust during them. And here is the final truth. Jesus was sleeping because he knew the ending. The storm was temporary. The mission was permanent. And today, the question remains the same. If Jesus is in your boat, why are you afraid? Because the storm may be raging, but peace is not missing. It's just sleeping.